As far as injuries are concerned, Tutu will be back, as will Akhello. We'll start both of those guys' clocks. Good news on Akhello, different from kind of what I had told you guys about. Xavier will be back from the concussion at full. Cam Kitchens, David Questenberry, and Byron Young will be DMPs. Cam with his shoulder, David Questenberry with his groin, and Byron Young with a knee.
Do you expect Byron to be able to play?
I do, yeah.
With Akhello, what is the ramp-up period that you expect he'll need?
I think he'll be able to play this week. So he got some scans. The goal and the anticipation is to be able to do that. But with both he and Tutu, we'll get through the week and we'll see where they're both at. But it'll be good to get them back on the practice squad or on the practice field.
What will that mean to get Akhello back, especially with all the bucks in the secondary?
It means a lot, and that's why, talking with Reggie, seeing where he's at, he's been chomping at the bit. The scan looked really good, and so he's done some different things with Reggie and his group that would try to simulate, some of the physical contact and being able to trust it. And obviously the practice settings will be really good, but it means a lot, because putting Roger McCreary on IR, he got his groin. It's such a bummer, because, you lose Q, you go get Roger, in the instance that if something were to happen to Q and you lose both of those guys. And so to get Akhello back, we've got some flexibility. I can't say enough about what a great job Josh Wallace has done. And then we got Darian Kendrick coming back, where we claimed him off of waivers, and he's a guy that has familiarity and flexibility both inside and outside. And this is that time of year, but we do feel fortunate that guys that you're asking to step up are people that, understand what's going on, have real game experience, and that means a lot this time of year.
Coach, Monday, I couldn't help but when I woke up noticing how the entire media football world had granted you guys the greatest team in the history of football, and, Chuck Noll's got nothing on you now. I'm wondering if you noticed it too, and if you made a message to your squad about where this is in the season and how dangerous that can be.
Yeah, and I think I did see some of those different things. I talked to you guys, but I stay pretty disciplined relative to seeing those things. But you can't help when you look at NFL Network or you look at just some of the major websites, just being a fan of the game, you acknowledge it. And what you say is the guys have earned the right to get that. That's not why we do it, and that's not anything that moves us forward, but it's a sign of respect for what they've done through 11 games. And we got 6 more guaranteed, and the only thing I'm worried about is Wednesday. What I do feel good about is the maturity and the humility of this group. They understand that the confidence that you're seeing them play with on Sundays or whenever our games are is earned throughout the work week. The way that they celebrate each other, the way that they trust one another, but the way that they really challenge themselves throughout the course of the week. And our guys, I think, have earned the right to play with some, confidence the last handful of weeks, and you got to earn it again. Humility is only a day away. Our guys understand that, but no, we acknowledge, we celebrate, really cool stuff that they're doing. We talk about enjoyment of other successes all the time. We're not worried about the outside-in narrative, but you can't help but be aware of it. And now we say, hey, why is that coming? Because there's been a discipline, there's been a humility, and there's been a commitment to a process. Let's continue to raise our standards and ascend week in and week out, and really day in and day out is what we've talked about.
Do you expect Cam to be able to play on Sunday?
I do, yeah. I do. He's played really well. I've been so proud of him and just the ascension and the different playmaking, his versatility. I mean, you see, he's playing at a pretty different speed, a lot of confidence. Coach Beak and Aubrey do such a great job, but I do expect Cam to be ready to roll.
Sean, Harrison Mevis hit his first 2 field goal attempts of his NFL career. It seems like he's been pretty calm and confident since he walked in the building. Has his emotional regulation stood out to you at all? Yeah, it's a good way to put it. Emotional regulation, like the opposite of me, huh? So he's been steady, and I think when you look at his career at Missouri and even some of the circumstances in the UFL, he's been a cool customer, just comes in and goes to work, and I think he feels very grateful. You can see there's probably a healthy perspective that allows him to realize this is a blessing, it's never a burden. And I've been really pleased with what he's done. He's made all 13 of the attempts that he's had up to this point. And I think that's a credit to Jake and Ethan and the protection as well. But it was good to be able to get off a couple of those field goal opportunities, because other than that, it's been exclusively extra points. Him being able to hit the one from 40 and then for 52, I think that's great for that overall operation, and I was really happy for him. It's awesome.
Coach, when you look at somebody like a Bryce Young,
go ahead.
You look at somebody like Bryce Young and see how he's evolved, and what are some of the challenges that he presents?
athleticism, escapability. I mean, you look at, he's always been a dynamic athlete, and he can, for a guy that he can move and manipulate the pocket, he can change his arm slot, and then he's able to keep his eyes downfield off schedule. That Atlanta game, just watch that, and you see how dynamic he is. And I think it's pretty cool, some of the different things that he's been through. A lot more good than some challenging moments, but I think that says a lot about him. We got respect for him, and got to do a good job of being able to keep him contained. And they've got some real weapons, and they do a good job of accentuating those guys' skill sets.
You mentioned Harrison Mevis, but what did you think about the protection of the kicking operation?
I thought it was good. McCollum's one of the guys that does a really good job of bending the edge. He did a nice job, but the timing ended up beating it on the one 52-yarder that he had. So overall, I've been really pleased with that operation as a whole. And I think a lot of the work that the guys have put in behind the scenes, what's refreshing is that you're starting to see that translate for successful outcomes. And I think the confidence is compounding, and want to continue to build on that.
Sean Nick Vanett
Yep.
to the active roster. Little downtick in 13 personnel this last week. Is that matchup dependent, or is it just tough?
Availability, so now the thing is that was part of the thought process is you give yourself a chance to be able to activate, all your different personnels, whether it be 11, 12, 13, who knows, maybe 14 at some point, huh? No, I wouldn't say never, but but he was a guy that both Les and John McKay liked. I had some familiarity with him, and you're just kind of looking around the league. Feel good about some of the guys we have on the practice squad, but with Higbee being out for some time right now, you do want to make sure that if you decide to go with a couple guys up, that you're not one injury away from losing, a portion of your game plan if that's the way that you lean and in the direction that you want to go.
Sean, on the game Sunday night, Davante talked about that quick pass to the corner to him, that it was actually something that happened at practice where he wasn't the number one option, but he saw it, that Matthew saw it on the board, that, he could be an option. Is that normal to find something?
You talking about on his 24-yard touchdown?
Yeah. Yes.
Is that the one you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, that is normal. I think what's cool is a lot of the dialogue that goes on in our absence as coaches, I think can sometimes be the most beneficial, because they're the ones that are bringing it to life. And, like I've told you before, and really Davante's this too, but Matthew is an extension of the coaching staff. And on that particular concept, he had a couple different options, and there was a three-man surface to the other side that was kind of coming into his vision. He had a good feel for the post player, was kind of middled up right there, and he was able to periff Davante's release and get the ball up and down. But you don't take for granted how rare it is, the things Matthew can see, and then the ability to be able to win quickly, stay stacked, and then be able to finish that was cool. But those guys are always talking about how can we improve things, and that's what's great about having these video boards out here. You don't wait till practice. I think the best corrections are made in real time, and then when you're able to see it, and then in between series when the offense is going and then the defense is up, now those guys are able to kind of be able to collaborate, communicate, and get connected on, all right, what's the best way to be able to move forward, rather than having to wait until the next day or when you get back in the film room, being able to do that in the real time. And that's what the real ones do, and that's what those two guys did in that instance.
Davante has been one of the best in terms of his release off the line of scrimmage for a long time now. As a play caller, how do you accentuate or bring to life that skill
Yeah,
set?
you don't have to do much. He makes it right. I mean, you look at the way that he was able to win versus, hard outside in leverage with inside presence based on the one that he had caught against Seattle, and he still found a way, and Matthew did a great job of getting it up and down. That's been, Davante is, since I've been coaching, there's nobody that's been better about being able to get parallel and work edges on people. I mean, that's a special trait, and if you guys ask him about it, and the level and the depth of knowledge and the thought process that goes into understanding is, to have the physical but also the above the neck understanding of, there's an art to it when you hear him articulate it. When he came out here to sign, we went out to dinner, and he was standing up in the restaurant showing some of his releases, and this guy loves it, and it's, I love learning some of the different things, and I've been a fan of watching it, and it's pretty cool to see it come to life in a Rams uniform.
What restaurant were you at, and were you getting looks from other people?
We were at Bird Streets, and we didn't get too many looks. We kind of had, it was, I think people were like, hey, that's some cool right there. All right.
Sean, when you're calling plays, are you ever conscious of matchups with Davante's experience? If he's matched up against a rookie or a younger player,
Oh, absolutely.
You're
Oh, yeah,
conscious of that
100%.
in real time.
Oh yeah, I mean those are things. I mean I think part of our job is to be aware of. It always starts with us, but then there's an element of the opposing team's personnel and their scheme and trying to ultimately put our players in favorable outcomes with our decisions. The players bring it to life, but that's absolutely something that we're in tune with. What makes you ask that, Gary?
Just asking.
Just wondering. Good.
Nate Landman's extension, when a guy comes in, does a great job as a team leader, and he gets rewarded, how does that permeate within your locker room?
Yeah, I think what's the coolest thing about it, Gerard, is that when that came out, he's so humble, he wouldn't say anything, but then, you guys, as soon as things happen, you guys are, sometimes before me on some of this stuff, but the reaction from his teammates is so authentic, and that's part of what I talk about, the enjoyment of other successes or good things happening, because he's earned that respect, and he checks all the boxes of the things that we want to be about, with the character, with the competitiveness, the mental and physical toughness, his ability to uplift and elevate others, his ability to put his arm around guys. And like I've told you guys before about him, he's just got a great feel, great emotional intelligence and understanding how to be able to lead, pick and choose his spots with the right timing and the right tone. And he's really endeared himself to this locker room in a very short amount of time by just naturally, as I've come to get to know him, just being himself. And it was really cool to be able to see he and his wife, Brenna, be able to go over there and sign the contract. And when you feel the gratitude, you want to, do right by people. And his teammates were excited, but I think you want to make sure you're very cognizant of recognizing and rewarding the people. No different than how excited people were for Kyron, when we ended up signing him before the season. Guys get excited because those are the types of players that they want to play with, and good things happen when you lean on those kinds of people.
Matthew, after the game, Davante was talking about how you guys made an adjustment that you saw on his 25-yard touchdown that you saw on the video board, that he wasn't the first option, but you saw in the video that he made a move. Does that happen a lot? Can you kind of explain, and then how it translated into the game?
Yeah, we're always communicating. Just trying to find, ways, little edges in the game if you can to be better, to help us succeed. And he's a veteran guy; he's been around for a long time, so he's always finding, things with corners or just communicating with me. Hey, this is how I see this. This is how I think this could go, and try to do my best to, understand those ops and give him those ops when he has the chance, and obviously made a great play.
So was that touchdown a direct result of what happened here?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, it's, yes, that one probably, that's probably more me just getting used to his release on that play and what he was thinking. But he's always communicating with me, trying to make us better.
Sean was just talking about how detailed Davante is with his releases and how he, processes those things. How were you able to, throughout the course of this season, kind of understand his process and get the timing lined up with his releases?
Yeah, I think it's just work. I think it's just going out there and working on it, seeing it, talking about it. It's constant. That's really with all the guys. He's one of them, obviously, but he does a great job at the line of scrimmage. Does a great job of communicating, like I said earlier, and I think just getting those reps together always helps.
Another no-look touchdown to Kobie on Sunday. Is that something that you ever can anticipate before the play, like based off of coverage and play call, that you might need to pull that trick out?
Sometimes. Sometimes not. Sometimes it happens within the flow of a game, or what they're presenting pre-snap isn't exactly what you get post-snap. It happens a lot in this league, but certain times there's a free defender, you might say, that I know is going to be, have not that much work to do. And if I can put him where I want him and open up something else, or really if the play is going to be good anyways, but I can make it better, I feel like that's, part of my job description, and sometimes that happens.
When did you first start experimenting with no-looks?
It's been a while. I've done it for a long time. I feel like, I think I've done a decent amount of those, especially when I was with, Calvin in Detroit. Like I've said before, everybody kind of knows in the building that we're trying to get him the ball and in certain areas of the field, and I was able to just try to help, keep him open as long as you could.
How do you shut out the noise of MVP conversation, those kinds of things, as you kind of move forward?
I just continue to show up here every day, try to do my best, work hard, be a leader for this team, worry about the things that I can control in this building, and try to be the best teammate I can. And listen, I'll let all that other stuff take care of itself. It's not something that's difficult for me to, compartmentalized. That's this whole position. That's this whole job is, right? Like, I'm here. I'm all in when I'm here. I'm all in on a walkthrough or a practice, and then I go home and I've got a family. I'm dad and husband and all that. So not a lot of time in the day to think about other things, to be honest with you.
What do you think has been the biggest factor with your offensive line, the different combinations that have had to play this year, in them keeping you protected, keeping you upright? They've been fantastic.
Yeah, they've done a hell of a job. I think, like you said, there have been, a couple times here and there we've had to, shift some guys around and move some guys around. I think the guys that have come in and played have played at a really high level. I think obviously Wendy's doing a great job getting them coached up, and I think Sean does a great job of mixing and matching and, running the ball, play action, get me out of the pocket, drop back. We're doing all sorts of different stuff to try to keep defenses on their heels so they can't just pin their ears back and go, hey, they're going to drop back pass all day. Matthew's going to be 9 yards deep in the pocket and he ain't moving. So, we do a decent job of trying to be as collaborative as we can in our offensive approach to help everybody out.
Who was talking about how long Sean's play calls are? Are his play calls typical to the head coach, or are they longer? And how long did it take you to get used to it?
They're long. I feel like they might have been longer, when I first got here. We found certain ways to pare stuff down years after years and years of doing the same kind of stuff. They're on the longer end of what I've been exposed to. I'm sure there's other people out there that, say more words, but, I think communication is good. And a lot of times when we're saying all those words, it's helpful to me too, because then I'm picturing it in my head too.
With Tutu coming back this week, just knowing his skill set and the role you guys have been on, what do you feel like he can kind of add to what you guys have done the past
Yeah, he's an explosive player. Obviously he can, get behind the defense. He's made some big plays in this league. He's made some big plays this season for us. So, he's a guy that's a home run threat every time he's on the field. Great teammate, was unbelievable in his rehab process and getting back and just always being the same guy when we see him, which is awesome. But excited for him just to feel healthy again and feel good to go.
What's it like going against a defense in Carolina that has so many guys that have been in this building?
It's interesting. That happens sometimes in the league, especially around here, because I feel like all of our coaches and/or players get, at the end of every season, they're all over the league and getting head coaching jobs or whatever it is. But was with E here for a little bit, and then obviously some of the guys that are playing over there as well. So, a lot of respect for him. Really well coached, disciplined defense. He did a nice job the other night getting turnovers, turning the ball over. So you got to be smart with it. But talented group.
Could you give us an example of a long play call?
I don't want to put one out there for you. I don't want what?
An old play that you would never run again?
No, I can't even think. I'm not going to go there with it. Sorry.
Excitement to just get Tutu back into this offense and kind of
anytime you get a guy back of his caliber, you'll take it, right? So he's done a great job with the rehab process, and it'll be just fun, when he's doing a lot of the rehab. We as coaches don't get to see a lot of it, so just getting out on the grass, routes on air, stuff like that will be big.
What's it like for you to have so many weapons across the field for Matthew to throw to or hand off?
Yeah, it doesn't stink, there's, not just in front of you guys, but, we say that because the guys can handle it. Anyone who's in there on any given play, we have confidence in. That's why they're in there. And more importantly, Matthew has confidence in them and across the board. Everyone is, not surprised by someone making a play. You saw Mump last week make 2 big plays. I know you're kind of referring to that, but it's week in and week out. Just be in the right spot at the right time. Work your fundamentals, and when you get your ops, make the most of it. And so far through 11 weeks, pretty pleased of how those guys are making it happen.
I asked Matthew what he thought the key was to this offensive line doing such a great job this year, keeping him clean, even with the different combinations. What's your opinion? What has been the factor?
Yeah, I think it's across the board. In all phases, it takes all 11. Getting the play in, getting the right play that are not going to be dead plays, operating the right way, getting the line of scrimmage where you're not rushed, and then when that ball snack, making it come to life. So when it comes to the pass game, receivers getting off a jam, getting to A to B as fast as humanly possible in zone coverage, distributing the field. Matthew clicking through your progressions. Obviously offensive line communicating, making sure they're going to the right people, back picking up the right guy in the blitz. Like, it takes
everybody. And so, yeah, I mean, I think the line is doing a great job through 11 weeks. I think they're straining, because they know if 9 gets one extra click, a lot of times good things happen. But again, it's not just them; it's everyone across the board doing their job. And getting through 11 weeks, and I'm going to keep saying that it's it's been good. I think we've steadily gotten better. This is a whole new week, and this game, will humble you quickly. So we got to get right back to work.
What have you seen from Nick Bennett now added to the active roster, just as he was kind of helping out with practice squad?
Yeah, no, it's good to get him. He's played a lot of ball. It was crazy when I saw that it was he came out in 16. I mean, it's like I'm aging quickly because it feels like it wasn't long ago that I was evaluating him. So he's had a great career, and anytime you can bring in a guy that's played a lot of good football in this league, you'll take it.
You guys have been extremely efficient in the first quarter of the past 5 or 6 weeks. What do you attribute to that to?
Again, just kind of almost what I was saying right there. Just the guys just doing their job and operating and executing. Taking all those guys. It's a fun watch for me from above. I'm sure it is for you guys as well. Just seeing how these guys operate, getting in and out of the huddle, getting. You can tell the guys know what they're doing. And that's a credit to those guys being on their stuff. Credit to the position coaches getting these guys ready to go. So, you always want to start fast. It's not just something that you just say. You want to, and then you want that second drive to go well, and then you want that third, then you want to finish great, and then you want to, so I mean, it's like just live in the moment, each play, each drive, and handle your stuff. And fortunately for the last few weeks, those first drives outside of Seattle, where we got all the way down there and didn't finish it, but for the most part, we've done what we're supposed to do.
When you're coaching up the box and Matthew does one of the no-look passes, are you noticing that like in real time, or do you kind of see it later, and just what's the reaction to seeing that?
Yeah, there's times where I feel like he's looking 8 rows to the right and the ball's going to the left, and you can actually tell. So, I mean, it's, he's the one out there playing, and he knows what he's doing when he's doing that stuff. It's one of those things you tell the young quarterbacks, whether it be in this building or, the other 31 teams, hey, that's really cool what he's doing, but don't try to be like him. He's earned the right, and he knows what he's doing and why he's doing it. So, he's a pretty special talent.
Terrence talked about how you guys started installing 13 personnel in chunks, like maybe around Baltimore week. What was kind of the process of deciding how to install such a big chunk of personnel package into the offense week by week?
Yeah, I mean, we stay separate for the most part in the run game, and then we get in the pass game. We go in there as a skill group, and sometimes I'll install it as all 13. Sometimes I'll be mix and match. Sometimes I'll throw in some other stuff. Sometimes we'll tell jokes. So you try to just keep the meetings as it's a lot of information, and it's the same voice, and obviously Sean and everyone talking and being collaborative. But yeah, I mean it's whatever we think is necessary for that week, in terms of how they're going to get the information. Some weeks are different than others.
Sean was talking about how detailed Davante is with his releases. How have you seen that affect the way defenses can or can't attack this offense?
He's been a problem at the line of scrimmage well before he got here. He's arguably, at least in, since he's been in the league in 14, probably not even arguably, he's probably the best release guy, of that time. And he's still doing it. And it's no different than what we said when we got him here, back in the spring, and how he felt in August. Like, dude's still got a lot of juice in that body, as you guys can see. He's a problem at the line of scrimmage. He knows ball really well, but it's the stuff that he does within the moment and why he's doing it. It's next level type stuff. And again, if you want to have the career that he's had, a Hall of Fame career, you're going to think that way, And so and you have the ability to do what you're thinking, and it makes sense, So it'll never get old. It was really fun from afar, watching him. It was fun, particularly because it was with my brother too, as long as he wasn't playing a team that I was associated with, obviously. But, be able to kind of get up close and personal this last year with it, and really kind of dig into why he's doing it. It's a unique deal.
To follow up on that, can you help me understand, when a guy is that good off the release, how much is that above the neck versus just phenomenal athleticism.
Yeah, I mean, he knows where he wants to be when he needs to be there, right? He's got a great sense of timing, so he's got a great sense of the defender he's going against, whether it be through the film study or sometimes it's, hey, how's this guy going to play me? And I might release on a run play to just kind of see, how he's going to react and stuff. So it's the game within the game, right? Those are kind of things that you can see what he's doing, but I mean, there's things that he's probably setting up that we don't even know, right? Like I just said, on a run play and stuff like that. So it's a pretty unique thing, and it's a unique trait. And again, that's one of the reasons, amongst a lot of reasons, why he's had the success he's had throughout his career.
What's your reaction to getting Akhello back?
Excited. He's been around, but excited to see him go out there today, and we'll kind of figure out his role just like we do everyone here throughout the week. Obviously, we haven't seen him. He hasn't taken a full speed snap yet or anything like that, but he's just another, obviously been a really good player, productive player for us, and guy that has a skill set that we can definitely use, so it's great to have him.
When you have guys like Emmanuel and Kobie who are playing so well on the outside right now, what is that process of trying to integrate Akhello back in while still riding a hot hand on those guys?
Yeah, I mean, definitely don't want to get those guys out of their flow. Playing great football right now, and want to keep those guys in a good rhythm and feeling good and exactly what they're doing. And Aubrey does such a good job of giving each guy's roles. There's ways to get guys on the field where and have specific roles for the game. So based on what happens today and tomorrow at practice, we'll come up with a plan for the week for those guys, and those guys will know it going into the game, and we'll see how the game unfolds to see exactly how those roles shape out.
Especially over the last 4 games, what's it been like seeing Emmanuel play like the player you guys knew he'd be capable of being?
Yeah, that's exactly it, Stu. We saw it all training camp, all of OTAs, and I'm just excited that the country's getting a chance to see it, and people around the league are getting a chance to see what a competitor is, how tough he is. He makes plays with the ball in the air, how athletic he is. So, it's just exactly what it is. We've been seeing it, and it's a credit to him. He's been practicing really hard, and his performance is a result of the work he's put in, and he knows that. So we're just going to try to continue to do that.
With a player like that who had a dip last year and now he's ascending, can you kind of notice his confidence taking off kind of in the moments outside the game?
For sure. I think that's anybody. You just feel more credibility with your teammates when you're going on the field and making plays, and it's one thing to do it in practice, but when you go out and you're making big plays to help the team win week after week, I think you definitely see, a little bounce in their step. So it's been cool to see, and really happy for him.
Sean, a long time. What do you think about what you've been? Is there something or a couple lessons that stand out?
Oh, man. I mean, it's almost everything. You feel like, it's just our first year when he was head coach. There's a lot of things. I think it's more of just the amount of issues and the things that go across the head coach's plate that he kind of has to deal with on a daily basis. And really the things that are meaningful to him is the relationship he creates throughout the whole team. He's the happiest. He'll be the first to tell you he's the happiest during the week when the players are here, and he can go interact with them and wants to be a part of their lives and impact them and their families. And, he just has such a good relationship. He has a real special relationship with the defensive guys. I think it's pretty cool. So it's just been fun to see.
Talked a lot about the sack assist this year, but was it cool to see the emotion for Kobie breaking through with a couple on Sunday?
Definitely. Just like anybody, all those guys, they always want to get sacks, and it helps the team, and there's nothing wrong with it. And he's going to do anything to help the team win, but it's always good to see some of those guys get on the board with a few sacks.
Speaking of confidence, the other Kobie Durant, with not just the interception, but how well he's played, how would you describe that?
He's just a productive player. He's a playmaker, and he really always has been since he's been here. And some stuff, it's on us to put him in the right positions, and guys playing well around him. I think the guys around him are communicating really well, and he's taking his game to the next level. It's a huge credit to Aubrey and Beak and Mike Harris of continuing to work with him and growing. And he's I remember when he was a young guy just coming to the league. And secondary coach, and now he's kind of a veteran of the group and played a ton of football, and you're seeing that.
This is, if you guys continue to play well, your name already is kind of being floated out there as being part of the next head coaching carousel pool. How will you handle that, having seen other guys from this staff go through it?
Yeah, you always kind of prepare for it, I think, in the summer, where you just kind of get ready because some of those things can happen. Hopefully you're in the playoffs and stuff like that. But And then once you do that, you really just play the whole season and just continue to focus one day at a time and playing good defense and really not even thinking about it at all, to be honest.
Is it a goal of yours to be a head coach?
I think that's the goal of any coach that wants to be in the league. You want to take yourself to the highest profession. That doesn't mean you're just going to walk away for any single opportunity. I love it here. It's my family loves it here. We've been here 9-10 years. Coaching with my best friends. We obviously have a great group of players and a great staff. So, for the right opportunity, we'll see. But like I said, not really thinking about it too much right now.
Davante, Sean was talking about how detailed your approach is to watching film and studying how you're going to release against certain people. Can you what's your process for that?
It's a pretty extensive process, but in a nutshell, it's basically you just find out, obviously it's not like an algorithm or anything, but, see how tall a person is, how rangy they are. Some guys are more long levered, so. But just getting a plan together based off their technique, what they do they shoot their hands? Are they a soft shoe corner where they kind of back out of there, they kind of press just to, interrupt the timing? So it's important to, evaluate the film on that, just because if you go into it not knowing a guy's technique, then, to take potentially, too many reps throughout the game to kind of put together and figure out a comfortable way to attack him. So for me, I try to figure out exactly, what kind of guy he is, what does he do, what does he like to do, and then from there, you obviously still got to, play the play and play the down and respect. Sometimes a guy like 27, he's not really a quick, he'll like to shoot his hands. Last week I saw on tape a lot where he'll shoot his hands and then get out of there, and then so I had that in my mind, and then actually my first press rep against him, he shot his hands and stayed firm at the line. Just based off of probably watching my tape and seeing me hop off the line and thinking that would work. So just playing it down is the most important part. You obviously got to understand coverages and a lot of different things. Really long-winded way to say, basically you just scout out the guy and what he likes to do and then formulate a good plan based off of that to execute your job.
Sean said when you came out to sign, you guys went out to dinner, and you were actually standing up in a restaurant demonstrating some of your. Do you recall that?
I do.
And what was that scene like, and what was happening?
Well, Sean failed to mention it wasn't like a bunch of attention, because Sean's a very elite individual, and he's got certain it's different types of rooms and memberships you need for some of these places he goes to eat. So I was invited to this. I don't have a membership at this place, but thankfully I was able to do that because it wasn't a big crowd in there. But was able to get up and just kind of talk through some stuff, and you just talking about two football meatheads that, or football nerds, I guess you could say, that think about the game in a very intricate way. And, obviously his angle is a lot different than mine being a coach. So me being able to talk to him about some stuff and get him excited about, a few things, and him, just kind of basically making some of these plays come to life before I even had the opportunity to run some of the routes. So, it was fun, good meal. It was just good fellowship all around.
To get up and illustrate in a restaurant, is that just a part of your game that really excites you? Gives you a lot of juice?
The game just excites me in general, honestly. Talking about releases, routes, the blocking part doesn't excite me quite as much, but all of the routes, and the things that make up, great receivers, I just get fully immersed in it, and it wasn't something where I was like, I didn't even look around. It was just like as soon as I thought about it, bounce up and talk about something. It wasn't nothing crazy. I think it was just more like talking about the way I attack him. It was a little bit more of that. So it wasn't a big show, but it still was. I did get up. Yes.
You talked about, obviously Sean recruiting you, but just have you seen him get excited the more you guys talked and he kind of realized what he could do with you and some of your skill sets? Like, have you seen him just have fun with that?
Yeah, you still can continue to see it now. You go out there on the field now. One of the quotes that I feel like stands out for me is, and it's not just like a singular time, but he's always mentioning, whether he'll text me about something that we're getting ready to put in the red zone or in the field, he'll say, here's what I got a good idea about something, and I'm excited to see you bring it to life. Basically, like, we got a certain route, and this is how I draw the route. But a lot of times when I draw a route for you, you run it in a way that's, unique to you and your abilities, and that's ultimately what makes the player coach thing work really well. Is if you can take a good idea and somehow make it, improve it a little bit, or just bring it to life how it was on paper. But a lot of things that I do is unconventional, so I feel like the technique that I use is something that maybe he wouldn't, see. So even today, he gave me a route and I went out there and did it, and I can see it in his body language. He's like, you got it. So you'll see him doing that sometimes.
What's the process of developing that unconventional technique? How do you kind of build that up over the years?
I mean, really, it's the buildup of it is me. A lot of times putting together a plan, like whether it's walk through, jog through, I take that process real serious, because that's when everything slows down a lot, and when everything's going full speed, it's easy to rush movements and not fully, because the idea of receiver is like deception, obviously. So everything that I'm doing, if I'm trying to run, the kind of outbreaker I ran on their sideline that I caught, and it was maybe like a gain of 15 or so or whatever. I'm doing that, and if I just get that in practice, I may not, nod him quite as hard to get him to really believe the vertical part before I break out. So in walkthroughs, when we're kind of going half speed, it kind of allows me to slow down and really stick, and then let the guy, see what I'm trying to get him to see, versus me just knowing it. Because if I go out there and, if I do this, you don't know if I was really trying to go inside or outside. But if I lean inside, now your brain, because everything, it takes the brain time to process what's going on too. So the quicker you move, obviously it can benefit you, but it can also hurt you if you don't, lock in on the details of the route and sell what you're trying to sell.
On that deception route, on the deception topic, Coach LaFleur said he finds that you're like maybe on a running play, you might be selling it. Mm-hmm. Is that like a chess match in your head?
100%. I mean, you steal releases all the time where I'll do something, it might be eyes, whatever. I line up all the time, and I might sit here if I got a certain route, and I'll be looking inside, and then I'll peek to the sideline, kind of like I'm getting ready to run a route over there. It's just it's a big, cerebral game out there, and a lot of people don't hone in on it like how I do, and I find that gives me a big edge. If I stare at the sideline a couple of times before and then take off running that way, surely that guy's going to be a little slower to move as I'm, darting across the field. He's like, wait, whoa, he was looking over here. Like, why is he sprinting this way? And then now he's behind the play, and even if it's just a half a yard, like that'll give me an edge.
Davante, earlier in your career, who did you see those things in as a player?
I mean, to be honest, it wasn't really something that I seen. It was just something that I learned to develop because, I got this title of being like the release guy, pretty early in my career, just, kind of having the feed and, the basketball movements. So it was something that I wanted to kind of lock in and take it to the next level. And I felt like, if using certain mental cues like that could kind of help me, and it was something that I saw work for me, and I just continued to push it.
How has your mindset changed as you went early in your career, as the young guy going against the veteran cornerbacks of the day, to the veteran receiver now going against the younger cornerbacks?
I mean, you obviously get more comfortable, but I like to treat everybody like they're a veteran when they're out there. The second you look at a guy like he's a young player or whatever, he can. Everybody out here is getting paid, so they can take advantage of you if you take them lightly. Similarly, you play the Saints that week. We come out with the same mindset like they were, undefeated, versus looking at them like they're a team that's not great, because at the end of the day, they got a bunch of NFL players over there that play at a high level, and all you have to do is, like I said to you guys before, it don't matter how good you are, it's about how good you play. So if you don't go out there and put it on tape and treat everybody like they're, one of the best, then you can definitely get caught slipping.
Did you see, you guys talk a lot about sack assists, but could you see how big it was for Kobie, emotionally to break through with a couple of big ones on Sunday?
Yeah, you can definitely see it kind of in his eyes and his demeanor. But, he works very hard, so if anybody's deserving of that moment, it's very much him.
What was the celebration that you guys all did?
So Giff, our defensive line coach, I don't know what he started doing this. He started doing it one practice randomly because he was like, as an old dude, you can't dance above your head. He was like, you got to keep everything down low. So he started doing that. So we were all like, after we get sacked, everybody gets sacked, we're going to do that. Like, do your own celebration and do that.
What does Giff think of that?
He started doing it. Like, he started repping it out too. So he was having a good time. We was all having fun.
For you to have a multiple sack game, how'd you feel about that? And moving forward, what's your next goal?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have any goals. Like, I just kind of go out there and play. But I feel like this was one of the first weeks all year, maybe 1 or 2 games besides this, I actually didn't hold back at all in practice, whether we had pads on or not had pads on. I was still doing everything at 100%, not too much worried about anything else besides just getting better. So to see it actually translate to the field just makes me realize, like, that should be the standard, period.
What inspired, I guess, that to be your practice habits last week?
I actually spoke to Joe Caniglio, my own coach, and I spoke to Sean, and they both were telling me the same thing. Like, when you my pre-play demeanor, when it's sharp and when it's crisp, you know it's going to be a good play. Versus you see some of the other plays where I'm not fully set in motion, fully in my position, and it might be okay, it might be all right, but it's not the standard I have for myself.
After the game Sunday, you were one of the guys that said you weren't aware of the standings. How challenging is that with social media and being 9-2 right now?
No, I just swipe by it. I mean, like, social media not too hard for me. I be on TikTok. They don't have it on TikTok for real. So like I just kind of like run by it. Like, sometimes my dad will call me, but my dad, like, he knows I don't really like talking about that stuff too much. So he'll just talk to me about like my personal play or like how the defense is doing as a whole. But he'll never tell me about the standings. He'll never tell me, oh, y'all defense is this many points up above everyone or whatever. Like, they just all kind of keep it quiet. My whole family and everyone I keep close to me. So it's not too hard when you have a good foundation around you.
What do you like talking to your dad about?
I mean, we just talk about regular stuff. We'll talk about my brother. We'll talk about family. We'll talk about just life outside of football. We'll talk about football, too. I'll tell him about how practice went, the weight room. My dad's a big lifter, so me and him will talk about the weight room, how I'll be pissing him off. I'll be telling him how much I surpassed him. So we'll just talk about regular stuff. Like, me and my dad probably the best relationship I have with anybody in the world.
How much can you lift?
Good. So what?
How much can you lift?
Can I? Like, on what? Like, on bench or squat? Like, what we talking? Bench, my max bench is probably around 490 something. But that was probably about like 2-3 years ago, so I could probably push up a little bit more on that.
You mentioned the defense as a whole. Just for all of you guys who have been a part of Emmanuel's journey, especially over the last year, what's it like seeing him play the way he has, especially over the last 4 games?
Yeah, I mean, Emmanuel is somebody like, I don't know. He's somebody I hang around with a lot outside of the facility. Me and him will go grab dinner sometimes. We'll go to this mall. We'll go do this. We'll go do that. We'll just sit down and watch the game. So, when you form that kind of relationship, you see what that person does on the field also and see how much work he puts in the weight room, in the meeting room, in the facility, on the practice field, and to see it finally translate, especially I didn't know too much about his past before he got here, to hear how, like, kind of people were counting him out and now that he's dominating. People are like, okay, like, the Rams are doing something. No, that was just E-Man. That's who he always was. It just took, a good group around him, like, believing in him for him to dominate like this.
You get another athletic quarterback this week. What are your impressions of Bryce?
Bryce, he's very athletic. He's fast. He can get the ball on. When he's comfortable in the pocket, he can do a lot of damage. I mean, what was it, like 434 or something like that? Some 400-something yards. I mean, that you throwing that, you throw 400-something. So, he's a very good quarterback. So we just have to keep him in contain. We have to get to him. When we get to him, we have to make him feel us. Even if he gets the ball off, still, use advantage of our, getting close to the quarterback. Obviously, no late hits or anything like that, but just kind of make him feel us.
Is that sack celebration going to be a thing for the rest of the year?
We're probably going to knock it off until it gets too old.
What's the temperature been like with you guys in terms of, there is a rush of national media anointing you guys the champions already, but obviously there's a lot of football left. What's kind of been the temperament amongst the team after the Sunday night win?
Yeah, I think it's something that Coach said is we feel like we're the best team right now, but it's also week 12. The season's not ending anytime soon. So the opportunity to go out and continue to prove ourselves is something that we're continuing to strive for. And I think that's how we feel in the locker room, where there's a confidence that we feel like we earn every week, and it gets to show out there on Sundays, and that's something that we're prepared to earn again this week.
How do you kind of shut out the outside noise?
I think in born in 2001, like I was like, and being the social media age kid, I'm like, it's hard to really shut it out, I guess, in the sense of you see the media, but I guess it's what the message that you internalize. You see stuff scrolling on Instagram or on Twitter, and it feels good, but I guess the message to come back in when we're having our team meetings and in our unit meetings, the message is we have to earn the right again. So the opportunity to go out here and prove on a Wednesday, we're getting ready to still out there run routes and get active and to work our techniques is still a privilege and something that it gets me excited.
Jared said you should go on TikTok because there are no standings there.
What was that?
He said Jared said there's no standings on TikTok, so that's where he scrolls.
Oh, okay, I'm like, my TikTok is honestly a lot of, there's an animation show called Invincible. It's on Amazon Prime. I've enjoyed the edits I've seen of that lately.
Do you have a favorite Davante release that you've seen?
Actually, the one that I think this week, I mean, I'm sure that there's ones I could think of in the archives that I got saved on my phone somewhere of some of the clips in Green Bay. But I think I paused the clip while we're going in our receiver meeting today and being like, wow, you see the end zone view of that fade and not favorable leverage at the start of the play, and 1-7 finds a way. And I think it is an honor to be able to watch that live and in person on the field with him, and then just to be able to ask questions. We're out here at practice, and they're calling us in, and we're mid conversation talking about how to steal leverage, the way to work defenders, and so it's something that we continue to earn, and it's something that it's given me confidence watching him.
So how much of that, from your lens, is his athleticism versus a cerebral above the neck?
Ooh, I would say it is the perfect combination, because I have the opportunity, and our guys have the opportunity to see him in the weight room, and there is still a lot of physical ability in his body, and but then you understand the mental game and the chess game that is happened through snap 1 to snap 60, whatever it is, and he's playing that chess game the entire game. So it's an exciting thing to watch as you go through the clips on a Monday and watch of like build up, and all right, now it comes to life. So it is the perfect combination.
Do you know Ted Roy McMillan?
Not too much. I've had a chance to watch his game, especially as a Polynesian, another Polynesian athlete. I think, and as a wide receiver, as somebody who is in the skill position, to see him go in the first round and kind of set the new standard for our culture, and is something that is exciting. And he's a Jordan athlete as well, so to see him have his success and then to play, it would be exciting. That hopefully after the game, he's not too mad, and we'll be able to exchange jerseys.
do you feel like your success, especially your early success in the NFL, opened the door even larger for guys like him and other guys that are coming?
I think so. I know that there's I think of the people who paved. I looked up to, especially in the skill position, was the Juju Smith-Schuster of the world. There wasn't a ton of Polynesian athletes playing in the skill position. So to see his success, and to have him be other Polynesian athletes say that my name is mentioned, and wanted them to be able to run into people and score some touchdowns every once in a while is a cool thought to think about.
Davante talked about how extensive his process is for watching film and preparing his releases against certain opponents. Have you picked up on any of that, and has that kind of rubbed off on you at all?
I know I see him watching tape in all of our meetings. While he does he has his process, and I think it's been cool to be in the conversations with him of when we're in the unit meetings, the things that he's noticing. And then also just watching the clips on my own of being like, wow, how the defenses are trying to play us, and being able to watch him and be like, all right, and some of the conversations this had of like how he's watching the tape through his kind of thought process has been fun.
With chemistry being important, how you've been able to build the chemistry with you and Davante over the course of time to where it is now? How much did that help you as a player as well as on the field?
It's funny. I think as a receiver, I feel like it's something I mentioned. I'm like the game of basketball. I think about how receiver, like who you like to play, and just like the thought process of like, well, how do you move? I like that. So it's been fun to have those conversations. His confidence in his basketball game is just as high as his confidence in his football game. So it's been fun to have those conversations, see him move. But I think in just some of the normal conversations we have, learning about his family, him being a part of my life, and just spending the time that we've had since the moment he's got here has built the time in the locker room, and especially in the cafeteria.
Puka, you've always been a very grateful young man. What's this Thanksgiving is another practice day, but what are you grateful for this year?
Family has always been something important to me. My family's been here for all the home games. My mom just barely left, and I've had the opportunity to welcome a new family member to my family this year, in my son. So the opportunity to spend time with him and to give him all of the blessings that I've received in my life, and to be able to share those with him is something that I'm extremely grateful for.
How does it feel to be a dad?
It has been the best for me. I feel like it's been my new superpower. That's how I heal up. Everybody's always like, man, you take a lot of shots, and I'm like, and then I get to see my son, and it all feels right. So it has been a huge blessing for me, and it gives me an extra added motivation to go out there and to perform my best so he can see me.